Hi everyone, welcome to Living La Vita Loco podcast, a retro gaming podcast for some of your retro gaming needs. My name is Faz.
And I'm Rich.
And we are at the end of our 2025 journey of reviewing games. Today's games will be the last games that we review before we do a sexy audit on a wonderful spreadsheet.
Live audit.
In a few weeks' time. So, yeah, it'll be fine. You know, festive, it'll be Christmas week. We can have a few beers or scotches, maybe. Scotch and squashes. We've had that before as a combination. I'll bring a bottle of scotch. That'd be, you know.
Scotch and an audit.
Yeah. Glengarry, Glen Ross or something like that.
What is this?
Classy like that. But yeah, so these will be the last games that you'll hear that where we give some scores to. And then we just do the
Score them again.
We're doing this really stupid thing this week where we do this countdown to Shmups number 1, carry on from last week, where we put arbitrary numbers on things and then give it another arbitrary table to be slotted into. And then next week we give all of our arbitrary numbers from the entire year into another arbitrary table.
Do you worry that we just make work for ourselves?
It's thrilling. That is absolutely thrilling.
All right.
We're just, you know, we like databases. It's just the way it is. We're not actually into the gaming. We're just like
in it for the admin.
Yeah, stacking those numbers. But there are numbers from our stupid subjective reviews. This week we are on part 2 of our top of the shmups countdown to Shmupness number 1. It sounds as ridiculous as it is. Last week we picked up 10 games and we're reviewing the games subjectively completely. And we're trying to come up with a bit of a list of... There were 10 random shmups, really. Well, I say random. You really targeted yours. I just kind of picked up ones that I wanted to play for a little while or had. And all found a really good value. Whereas you really went for it. So I think I'm going to be under the cosh for the top 5. But for just to remember what the last games were at the bottom end of the table then. So in at number 10 was Raiden V Director's Cut. In at number 9 was Danmaku Unlimited 3. In at number 8 was Andro Dunos II. In at number 7 was Earthion. And in at number 6 was Thunder Force 4. So
cool. We
have 5 more shmups. Are you all right with those so far? They feel like...
I'm pretty comfy with them.
I think we're pretty okay with that.
Yeah, I think I'm all right with that.
It seemed to go pretty well and we didn't shout at each other or scream at each other. We don't shout or scream at each other very often. I know that you've expressed previous in the podcast that you'd like it to maybe happen more often. I don't know where that comes from. It's fine. I don't mind being a punching bag. So if this gets tasty towards the end and you desperately need a game to take the coveted Shmupness number 1. Sorry, I'm laughing because there's a fucking inane.
All of this that is happening right now is your fault. I just need you to know that.
I know.
You bought all of this on yourself. Literally all of this on yourself.
Doorstep.
No one to blame but you. Shmupness number 1.
I sit there at home coming up with podcast ideas, and the worse they are, the more I giggle.
You work very hard on it, probably.
Very hard. Yeah, something like that. I genuinely think that I just want to try and bring the concept to you that eventually breaks our relationship to the point where you're like, I will not let you in this house anymore because it's so fucking dumb.
Is that the meta game of these podcasts?
I need to know where I can get to. But back to this one, this stupid game that we're playing. So we've got 5 more games to go. You've got 3 more to do.
Yep.
Because I lost Rochambeau the first time round and we're number 10. And then I think you do number 5, and then we'll have a pool of 4 games. How can we do it? We can't really do it without revealing them at that point where we want to kind of put them. So maybe we do 4 and 3, and we just sort of then we say
then we take each of our top ones.
Yeah.
Do them, but don't score them.
Yeah. Cool.
And then we try and work out what the top 1 and 2 is.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right.
Okay. Cool. So have at it. So in it, Shmups number 5.
Number 5.
Top of the Shmups.
Darius Gaiden on the Sega Saturn.
Okay.
So This is, I think it's my favourite one in the series. Like, it is psychedelic as hell. Like, it's, oh man, like visually, it's so striking. Like,
Space Fish?
Space Fish. Absolutely Space Fish. Great soundtrack, psychedelic soundtrack. A bomb that is a black hole.
Nice.
That will literally suck shots, enemies, all sorts in a big spiral. Like, incredible visual stylings, explosions, effects. Some of it will probably melt your face a little bit. Now, the reason that I wanted to talk about this one specifically, and the reason it is here in this part of the list, is that the Saturn version doesn't have like anything else. Like it's the game.
Yeah.
You got like 4 difficulty modes, and that's about it. There's no alternative modes. Or at least, I didn't spot anything. There's not much in the menus. So yeah, like you can. The game, however, is so good on its own that it still deserves to be in this part of the list. So like you go through and you've got like it's horizontal. You've got your pickups for shield, boosting the power of your weapons, and boosting the power of your like lasers and missiles sort of separately.
Yeah.
And that's basically all there is to it. There's the occasional like score pickup that you can kind of find as a little secret thing, or extra sort of barriers and stuff like that you can pick up, and bombs and things like that. But ultimately, like mechanically, what you are doing is not terribly complicated. However, mid-level bosses and like mini boss type things will all have this little dome somewhere on their person. Okay. Well, I say person, their fish. On their fish. And if you destroy that, you can control that enemy for a little bit. It will fight alongside you, and nice. You can kind of, use their weaponry against everything else. And so sometimes, like, you can just utterly demolish like waves of enemies because you've got these like crazy high-powered things on your side, which is a fun little wrinkle.
Yeah, that is. And
I've not seen much of that.
No,
really.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
No, and so like it's like you don't get them for long, but long enough. And yeah, like I think it's got I can't remember exactly how many levels, but it does the standard series thing of you get to the end of the first level, you can choose between a couple of options, and then it'll branch out from there, kind of like Outrun does, thinking about it. And so like you
Outrun, but with Space Fish.
But you have like that many options for levels, so like you can go back through, replay it and pick completely different routes each time, and see how it all kind of hangs together.
I was just imagine driving a Ferrari but shooting lasers with a trout sat beside you, like as in.
Go make it.
But the trout's in a bikini. Like...
Okay, don't make it. Maybe don't.
But the lasers.
So yeah, like it's got a cool intro from the arcade version that they've managed to preserve on the Saturn. As best I can tell, because I played the on the arcade collection on Switch that M2 put out. This pops up, and I did play them not side by side because that would be impossible. I've only got so many hands, but I did play them in pretty quick succession. As best I can tell, the Saturn version is a bit more zoomed in, and kind of cropped around the edges, but is kind of fundamentally pretty close to the arcade. I think the M2's arcade conversion is probably, on balance in 2025, the better game. Yeah. Rather than going out of your way, unless you already have a Saturn and for whatever reason don't already have this game. But
you mean that sound like there should be no reasons?
But this is
there are no reasons why you would not have this game on your Saturn.
If you have a Sega Saturn, I think this game is almost like required reading.
Yeah, essentially.
For it. It's up there, I think, in terms of quality. I think if the port had a couple of extras of some description, I would almost take anything by this point. I don't know, a gallery, that would be a good one.
Yeah, okay.
Anything like that, I think could have really just helped emphasize the fact that, like, no, we appreciate that you have gone and bought the home version of this thing. Here is a nice little extra. But you don't really get that. Like, this is one of those ones that it almost feels churlish to give it an 8. Like, I want to give it a 9.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give it an 8 because it just feels like they could have done something, even just like a bonus disc or something like that. Sure, you could pop the CD in a CD player or something like that and play the soundtrack or what have you. Like, that's kind of cool. But, like, yeah, what else is that?
Yeah.
I feel like the port itself could have just done with a little extra special sauce. However, the game, holy hell, the game is good. I love the game. So yeah, easy 8 out of 10 for me.
I really, from your description of it and what I'd kind of heard of it previously, and I'll say at this point as well, so I didn't mention that I'd put this out as a Reddit post, almost like, can you help us rank these 10 random shmup games? And I'll come back to that towards the end, but there was a lot of praise for Darius Gaiden.
Yeah.
It was almost like maybe I'd say top 3 or 4 things mentioned by people, and it was like, this is, as you say, essentially an essential game.
Yeah, it's with good reason. And, like, I know, just to go back to something I mentioned in the previous episode about Danmaku Unlimited 3, and that kind of sense of character,
yes,
and a bit of personality and a bit of swagger, like, this has that in spades. And it is, I think it's pretty intoxicating. Like, I bloody love this game. I do. It's easily one of my favorites. I'm crap at it, but yeah, like, it is a personal favorite of mine. And yeah, I kind of came across a sort of heart versus head kind of conundrum with that and what I'll be coming on to next.
Yeah.
Yeah, Heart won.
Cool. This, when you said you were struggling before, like, on the previous podcast about 2 games.
Yeah.
I'm now at the sharp end of the stick, and I've got to pick between 2 games that are really quite different from each other, I would say, in the type of shmup that they are, but both excellent to me personally. And I don't think I can get a wrong answer, but then I'm kind of trying to think what I want to put up as Shmupless #1 competitor versus what I'm kind of expecting yours to be as well. So at this moment, so we've got 4 left, haven't we? So we've got, I've got Radiant Silvergun, and I've got Crimzon Clover World Explosion, and you have got...
I've got Raging Blasters and DoDonPachi DaiOuJou.
Okay, cool. So just a little question at this point then. Are these your best, apart from Batsugun, then, because you gave that its own pedestal, and then you said at that time you might have something that, and I'm not trying to draw you into what the answer is, but you might have something that might be your favourite shmup of all time.
Yeah.
So if you lumped in Batsugun special version with these, is this kind of effectively a bit of a list of your best shmups?
Effectively, yeah. I mean, there are a couple
that you've played.
Yeah, a couple missing. Like, I probably, like, if we're including the other episode as well, I probably wouldn't necessarily include Danmaku Unlimited 3 nowadays.
Yeah.
There was a time. Earthion as well, I don't think I've played enough of it to really say for sure. So if you're doing it as your favourite ones of all time, I would probably switch those 2 out for other ones.
Yeah.
Don't ask me what ones as I see it right now.
No.
But, like, oh, in fact, no, hang on. Sorry.
Musha, you forgot that.
No, well, I've looked left and spotted a couple, actually. Like, okay, if we're doing honourable mentions quickly.
May as well.
Musha, definitely in there. Battle Gorega. In there. Ketsui is in there.
Yeah, I keep wanting to play Ketsui, but it's so expensive on the PS4 that I'm like, I can just only really pay for it at the arcade.
It's really good. Like, if Danmaku Unlimited 3 was kind of my gateway drug, Ketsui was when, like, scoring systems started clicking, and I was like, like, I can learn how to get good at these.
Yeah.
So yeah, love a bit of Ketsui. What else have I got that's conspicuously close to the front of my shelf that I can see over here? Cyvaria, like, is one that I wouldn't necessarily say is, like, an all-time favourite of mine, but I would, God, this sounds weird, I would love to get to know it better.
Yeah.
Like, take it out for dinner or something.
At Retro Game Den, who is somebody that comments quite often on our Instagram and is part of the the Discord that actually Retro Slice Gaming Discord that I'm part of, and I'm not selling any wares or anything, but I actually for the first time spoke about it on episode 33 of the podcast when we did the Soldier Blade thing. I spoke about it and everybody being kind, and there was a period of time where probably about 12 months where we kind of didn't fall apart or anything, but we stuck with it, and a few things happened and we weren't doing much, and it's actually started back up again recently in terms of everybody contributing things. I know that Retro Game Den, it's funny because he keeps on saying, oh, this is like one of my favorite games of all time, and Outrun, like when we did Coast to Coast, and we were like, it's really, really good, but it's and he also said, is it Cyvaria? So he said, when we were putting this list out on socials the other day, he was like, oh, where's Cyvaria and where's Ikaruga? And I'm like,
oh, Ikaruga, fuck.
And I'm like, yeah, we'll talk about them probably, maybe. Do you know what I mean? Like, as in, and there you go. We have them on the list.
Ikaruga's a good one. Eliminate Down. I've spotted that on the shelf as well. Easy enough.
I've never even heard that one.
Yeah, like there's so many that are like that I would quite happily chuck on this list in some way, shape, or form. There's a load on the Saturn that Soka Gurentai and stuff like that that I'm missing out. Earlier DoDonPachi ones and all that kind of stuff. Like there's all sorts.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is like, I think once you get into that top three though, they're definitely three of my favorites.
Yeah,
but they're not crucially my three favorite. Okay. If that makes sense.
Cool. Right, that's helped clarify actually where I'm going to go here.
Okay.
I think
that's good because I thought I was talking bollocks.
No, it helped because I almost swung one way and then I've gone the other. So it becomes obvious which one I'm picking to go as my Shmups number one champion, if you will, like champion elect. When I select now at number 4, Crimzon Clover World Explosion, because this is my type of shmup. Like this game feels like it nearly has everything that I need in a shmup. Whatever it is that the special sauce that goes into this game, the idea that it's almost been developed pretty much over a 10-year period, really, from like 2010 was when Crimzon Clover was released as is it a Dojon soft? I'm gonna say is it I think they're called a Dojin soft.
Yeah, Dojin.
And then became an arcade port in Japan in 2013, and then they had a worldwide Steam port in 2013, which was called World Ignition, and then in 2020, it got revamped for the Switch as Explosion. So you kind of get that development of we go again. We've got a really good thing here. We go again, and add everything that it needs to be added to make it that modern bullet hell.
So just quickly, as a very quick aside for people listening, Dojin, if we're going to settle on that as the pronunciation.
I think so, yes, please.
Basically, like Japanese indie scene.
Yeah,
I think it's fair to say, like very small development teams, very dedicated. I think back in the day would like trade CDs and stuff like that at fairs and things like that of different games that they've made, because you get a lot of fighting games that would be like Dojin circles and stuff like that as well. A lot of the Toho games originally when they started the shooters and various other bits and stuff since from that similar sort of circle, and then over time Crimzon Clover being a good example.
I love when you spoke about like the idea of a caravan, like as in from Hudson Soft back in like the 80s and things. There just seems to be so many cool concepts, not necessarily lost to time, but you just can't ever imagine that being something that, I don't know if it's, and obviously you've been to Japan, so you have more experience than me, but certainly I feel like it's maybe is it a concept that the Western world doesn't really necessarily see as often as you would do in Japan, or is it just something that's maybe lost? Is it something as an older concept or something?
I don't know. I'm probably glossing over a lot with that description of it.
Well, it was a vague question,
a very big generalization on my part. But like, I think it kind of, I think we've embraced it more over time. Like when developing stuff and publishing stuff became more viable for
Yeah.
small teams on bigger platforms. And I think a lot of the kind of modern day indie scene, well, actually, maybe not even modern day, like go back a few years when the indie scene was thriving and people weren't being, weren't losing jobs left, right, and center. Was probably owed a lot rather to the old sort of doujin stuff. But yeah, I mean, there are probably people far better versed on that sort of thing than I that could say for sure. So I wouldn't necessarily say it was lost to time or anything like that. I think it just moved online.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. So coming back to then Crimzon Clover and something that I feel probably maybe sprouted from the idea that then you have this indie scene on the back of being inspired by cave games, really, because that's what it feels like. It feels like
good old cave.
Yeah, it just feels like Ketsui, DoDonPachi, kind of like
yeah,
but almost with a modern sheen to it, if you will, really. Holy hell, this game is so customizable and just full of, I mean, certainly this iteration as well, of quality of life stuff and everything that I want from a shmup to be able to be competitive against other people around the world and all the different types of modes that you've got. The fact that there is the novice mode, if you will, that I'll talk about this in a little bit more detail because I was texting you last night about kind of dropping. I always seem to start shmups on what you call arcade mode and then see how I do.
Calibrate it from
Yeah,
there.
exactly. And I saw that somebody on Reddit had sort of said, I got my first 1cc, my first credit clear on novice mode on Crimzon Clover. And I was like, I've probably played it for about 5 hours now and I'm going to drop down to novice and see if I can credit clear. As in, I got so fucking close on my third go of it. And I was like, and that made me feel amazing about myself because and it was like, well, someone's talking about it in a minute, I'm going to talk about it now. But just like, I got within a fucking inch of the life of the boss, the last boss. And I really lost too many lives on the last level. That is in because I hadn't played it that enough. So I do this thing where with shmups where I'm like, oh no, I'm going to do it I'm going to try and do my clear run. Just, I don't go, all right, I'll continue and learn the level. No, I'm like, I'll just see it blind and try and
just go for it.
I hate myself so much. I don't know why I do it. I'm just trying to prove to myself that I could do, the concept of a shmup without actually seeing what's happening. So when the last boss comes from behind, rather than in front of you, and immediately I'm sat above what it looks like, it's engine port, and it's just blown me up, and it's last life gone. I'm like, fuck! But yeah, it just sensational, really, really fun trying to do that last night and getting so close to it. And yeah, because the importance of credit clearing to me, again, just being quite inexperienced, I enjoy going for a high score, and that isn't always therefore compatible with the idea that you need to go credit clear either, because sometimes a high score can be being more aggressive to get more points and more bonuses. Obviously, you will get a higher score if you go through more levels and clear the game. But I guess that I'm not necessarily set. I don't feel like I'm very good at it, to be honest. That is able to survive and also get a high score. I feel like I can get a good high score, or I survive with a really poor score. Almost, I'm not quite good enough to get both of them yet. So, but yeah, I was having a go at that, and that's what in my mind kind of definitely cemented last night how good this game is. Just having all the different types of modes. If I kind of, I guess, concentrate the fact that you've got a novice mode and then you've got an arrange mode, which is kind of it changes the main arcade mode, which is where I'm going to put most of my focus into. Right. There's also an unlimited mode as well, which is the hardcore mode. Kudos to you guys. Well done to you.
All you sickos.
Bully for you. You know what I mean? But seriously, yeah, that is balls out, that stuff. I had to go and I was like, whoa, what are you even talking about here? But yeah, within that arcade mode, then you kind of get the main game, which I'll go into how the gameplay works. But you've also got a boost mode where the difficulty varies compared to your performance. It doesn't actually tell you how that happens, but as you're performing in game, the game will adapt to how aggressive it is in terms of its defense of itself. And I'm like, how's that work then? Because if I just sit here,
What was a rank system?
Yeah, if I just
yeah,
sort of if I sit here and don't do much damage, but I'm not dying, are you cool with that game? Like, is it, you're gonna let me just pass? Like, is it almost like when we were talking about Uncharted, when you talk about his explorer mode, where you just sort of like, is there even any enemies there if you're doing shit? Like,
it kind of depends on the game.
Yeah,
like, some of them, I think, like it might be Battle Garega. Like, I'm pretty sure nobody actually really knows. Like, that's probably an awful generalization, but like, if you could be there for hours trying to work out ranking systems and stuff like that in some of these games. Sometimes you'll be on like a 1 credit clear run, and you'll know, oh, I need to actually get killed at this point to reset the ranking system and stuff like that. And it becomes part of the game in itself.
Yeah,
how you manage
take a hit.
That. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay, that's really cool. I never really thought about that. I went on it for a little bit, but I kind of reverted to myself to, I guess, what you call the arcade mode and thing. There's the time attack mode as well, which is, you're there just to score as much as possibly can with unlimited lives. And I found myself playing that for quite a while because, as I previously said, that's probably where I enjoy my shmups almost in a way. That is, really getting down the throat of the enemies and sticking it to them. So in terms of the general gameplay for Crimzon Clover, then, so you get, and you alluded to this in the last podcast where you said that this is one of these games where you're dealing out a lot of bullets and you feel like you're dealing out a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Your weapons, as far as I'm aware, maybe not, they don't seem to change that much really, but you get these, I guess, what feel like almost like Gatling guns, if you will. Really, they're just that they go the fuck off, like as in, and then as you are killing enemies, you get a break level, and the higher you get your break level, you do the little bar that fills up, and you get to a certain point and you earn a bomb, and the bombs are there to help clear the screens if you need them. If you carry on through that break level and get to the point where you fill up that whole bar, you get a break mode where you press a button, and then you basically become the bomb. You are the bomb. That is in, you're just taking everything out around you. That is in, and you're just clearing screens with the bullets, and it just looks sensational and feels amazing. After you've just been put under so much pressure with this bullet hell coming at you, and you then can just turn the table for, I think it's like 15 seconds or something like that, and you just let him fly, and you get to see the rate of your destruction, and you can see your break level number going up in the top corner, which is adding to your score, and it's just going up to the hundreds, and you just think, God, it's so fucking cool.
Sweet endorphins.
Yeah, the soundtrack's just banging in the background. It's amazing. So there's that, and then there's also the secondary weapon, which is kind of like you cast out a net, and you can use homing missiles on enemies, and I think it's a certain number of enemies, up to 10 or 15, I can't remember now, where you basically hold this button, and however close you are, and if you hold the button for a long period of time, then you'll capture more enemies within your net, and you send out homing missiles. I found it easier for me if I was just kind of like quick pressing that button to be able to take out threats near me that maybe weren't necessarily in my direct firing line, and that was almost helping me take care of people, tanks, random shit around me. And yeah, that was really useful. And I tried to kind of play with that as almost like, can I play this shmup without using that at all, as a concept? And you can, but it's definitely a very useful weapon to be able to get further. And that's when I found myself progressing through the game much quicker, using that as a tool and dissecting the game more with that, really. Understanding that when my break level is full, it doesn't necessarily mean that I need to tap that. I need to think about when the maximum amount of effect I'm going to do with that is coming up, really. Obviously, unless I'm under pressure where I have to use it like a bomb. So yeah, there's just so many modes you can use, so many ways you can play this game. Whilst it's maybe not the perfect game for a beginner for a shmup, because you have got that extra with the homing missiles concept, and there are so many modes, just to have so much quality of life and be so inviting, and also still be that bullet hell, DoDonPachi-esque kind of game. Like, as in, it just feels like, it feels like a warm hug that's just but like a violent point of view. Like, I just couldn't get enough of how much this was just like making me feel good about playing a shoot 'em up. You know, I know it's not necessarily got, I don't know what I want to call it, like almost like the rough edges that you get with sort of Ketsui and things like that, where it's like, you know, that feels like a real developer's game. Like I'm explaining this terribly here, but it's almost like the idea that you can just sort of see there's like the big heft of a company behind this, whereas this you can kind of detect that it kind of came from that indie scene and it's been built up, and it's like, look what we can do. We are copying our heroes and we're adding to it all the time and making it really accessible for everybody that wants to be able to play a shmup, and you can play it in any mode you want, really. I felt more comfortable in the normal arcade mode than I did in the novice mode, mostly because, you know, like I felt bad about myself and embarrassed and for playing a game on easy mode. I'm joking, but that isn't. It just the flow and speed of the bullets was more in line with what I've become au fait with myself over the last couple of years. Novice mode definitely felt a bit more slowed down, but clearly it must be good enough to beat me because I'm still not beating it yet. But yeah, you find your rhythm with this, and especially when you start to understand how to use that auto homing missile as well. I kind of think that this was almost like playing Guitar Hero on hard mode, where when you just get it, you get it. It's almost like it felt really rhythmic in its roots and things, and you know, my thumbs were hurting so much because there's so much going on with using the break mode and using the homing missiles and using the auto shoot button all the time and stuff. But it kind of became that pattern of which buttons I was pressing at the right times and things, much more than I feel with other shmups. And again, I can't quite put my thumb on that, but it was just there for me. It felt so right. It wasn't. I just talked about the soundtrack there, and I sort of banging around the background. It's not the most inspiring. It's not the best soundtrack I feel like I've felt on a shmup, and that was probably something that I kind of maybe knock a mark off for it. That whilst it's all encompassing in terms of its customization and also a whole lot of different modes you can use and things, as a actual, probably like on the opposite maybe a Darius maybe that has no trimmings. This has all the trimmings to make it what you need it to be. But in terms of if you just went right, this is just one mode, arcade mode. This is the levels. There's not much distinction about them necessarily,
right.
And this is probably why I put it in at number 4 than I did higher up.
Yeah.
And it's not very distinct in its soundtrack either. It's not bad, don't get me wrong, like, you know, and it's still a feast for the eyes as well. But it's not like super memorable compared to someone that I've played maybe as well. So that might be what it is. Like that, I kind of thought, you know, maybe a bit more personality would help. But its core ideas and core design is incredible, and I remember when I picked this up, and I think I paid like £18 for it, which, you know, that is, you could pay hundreds of pounds for games. You can pay, you know, as we talked about before, you can pay £2 for like Thunder Force and stuff. And I remember thinking, for me personally, as a gamer, for a game that I didn't know anything about, I was like, but I knew it was meant to be a good shmup. I was like, that felt like the right amount of money to be paying for it. Like almost like, you know,
it's money well spent.
Yeah, very much so. But yeah, I loved it. In terms of a score, I'm kind of between an 8 and a 9, probably. And I'm going to be honest, I'm going to say an 8. I think I'm going to say an 8 for it. I think there's, you know, I can imagine another Crimzon Clover coming along and that being the one. You know, if they kind of like made it a bit more distinctive. But yeah, really, really good.
Cool.
So that was number 4.
Number 4. So in at number 3, my friends, Raging Blasters.
Assumption. Raging Blasters.
Raging Blasters. So this kind of picks up where a lot of the old PC Engine type shooters left off. I think it was like an old Shmup Junkie video on YouTube said about Raging Blasters, like having that kind of constant forward momentum and just that feeling of like always pushing on. And it does. And it literally, like, you will go through a level and it'll occasionally just, like, warp you to the next area and stuff like that. It takes a couple of seconds. I don't know if it's hiding a loading screen. I have no idea. But it does make you feel like you are on that journey. And, like, the backgrounds don't radically change or anything like that. Really, from, like, there is variation there. You will have, like, you'll go around a big battleship type thing, or other times it almost looks like it could be a copy of the opening stages from Soldier Blade and stuff like that, you know. But it's just so tightly designed, like, because it was Terrarain, I think, made it.
Okay.
And they put out various ones, and, like, you get the feeling that the trick with a lot of their games is they take one core mechanic and then build around that, which sounds obvious, but not everybody does it.
Okay.
So, like, you would go to one particular game for their one that has, like, a lock-on mechanic, like you were just talking about with Crimson Clover. You would go to a different one that has, like, grazing mechanics. You would go to a different one that does this. This is the one that is the PC Engine. Like, it's basically Soldier Blade kind of style. So you have a shoot button that fires all of your shots straight forward. You have another one that fires in a kind of X pattern with a smaller number going straight forward. And you pick up sub-weapons like homing missiles, or like a wave beam, or like a big orb that circles you, kind of like compiles games used to have and stuff like that. They fire automatically. So, you know, we were saying about Andro Dunos II and the kind of complexity of the weapon management. There's none of that here. It's just tools for the job. It's like, okay, I know that the enemy that's coming up next is going to work best if I'm firing in that cross pattern and I've got homing missiles. And I can, you know, work around that. And the way this game gets its hooks into me is by taking that and then giving you bonuses for speed killing particular enemies that are particularly tough, because you know how to exploit where they are and what you've got, and you can take them down quickly, giving you special bonuses for if you kill multiple enemies of a particular type at the same time.
That sounds
exactly like Soldier Blade, taking out various things that appear around you. If you take them all out at the same time because you're using the right combination of weapons, you get a bonus. You know, all of these little bits and bobs where the game is not about how you play it, it's or rather the mechanics of how you play it. It is the routing and knowing, okay, this is going to pop up next. How do I kick its teeth in as quickly as possible to get a bonus? And it's got like a combo system as well, and it's all just geared towards that sense of speed and taking things out fast. And
sounds like I'd really enjoy it.
I think you would bloody love this game. The soundtrack is a bopper. Like, it's awesome. Like, it is rattling around my head now, and it's just the right level of irritating. Like, it's not irritating because it's an annoying soundtrack. It's irritating because I want to sit here and start humming it. You know, like, I'm fighting the urge to basically turn this into a musical. And yeah, like, it's really, really cool. It's not particularly flashy or anything like that. You know, story-wise, there's probably one there somewhere. But, like, it looks chunky, pleasingly chunky. I would, you know, point at something like Earthion or something like that and go, well, yeah, like, the technical proficiency there for getting the graphics is probably greater than Raging Blasters, but it's effective, right? And it's clean. You can see what's going on. Like, it's not like sheets and sheets of bullets filling the screen all the time. But it moves fast. It moves at a clip. And not only that, but you've got, you know, the arcade mode with a couple of options there. You've got a caravan mode, like the old PC Engine ones, where, like, you could destroy bits of the scenery and stuff like that to get different bonuses as well that are kind of hidden away. So again, that's really good at getting you to learn that routing and all that kind of stuff.
Whatever it is.
And you know, okay, well, I've got a handful of minutes. I know that this is going to happen then, and it's a really good way of, like, honing that way of reading a shmup, I guess. You've got like a dual mode, so you can control player 1 and player 2 ships at the same time using 2 analog sticks.
Oh wait, yeah. Did I read about this? Yeah,
Quite possibly.
I think I read about that some time ago when like I think even when you mentioned it the first time about it having that. And is there another game recently I've been reading?
I think it's one of those kinds of modes that pops up a few places.
I don't know. Sorry, this is bad podcasting, but I was just like,
Well, you weren't going to expect me to say
like,
it.
Yeah,
so.
I was like, oh.
But it's one of those ones that
a concept that's really cool though.
Yeah, it's a cool idea. Like I would be lying if I said like, oh my god, it was really interesting to me. I tend to play on like a pad or a stick, so I've got like one method of input for movement. So the one time I did try it, I was like, oh shit, this isn't going to work, is it? But like the fact that it has it is kind of cool. I kind of like that. So yeah, like it's got good pedigree. Like I think the developer has proven that they can put out a lot of these like really interesting games that hone in on a specific aspect of the genre. And you know, they got one where there's no auto fire, so you're having to manually do it and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, like all these sorts of bits and bobs. Like they've got some real character to what they do. Raging Blasters is really, 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 really good. And I know I said about Danmaku Unlimited 3 being a really good like beginner bullet hell shmup. I think Raging Blasters is a really good beginner shmup. Full stop.
Yeah.
And if you're thinking you're going to be more inclined to go for a kind of older school style that is more about, oh, I don't want to get hit by that enemy that's flying past me rather than, you know, people shooting at you from all angles all the times and stuff like that. I think there's a lot to sink your teeth into here.
Yeah.
And I also think that by this point, it's probably one of the ones that if you catch it on sale, you could probably pick it up reasonably cheap and cheerfully.
Yeah.
So
Cheerfully so.
Cheerfully. So I'm going to give this a 9.
Wow. Okay, cool. Yeah, fair enough. Well, it is in the top 3, so why the fuck not? Hey, Raging Blasters. Sounds great. Yeah, I think I probably will pick that up. This is the problem.
I think you probably should.
I
think genuinely, I think you would really enjoy it.
I always end up buying more shmups, and then end up just going, "Oh shit, I've got too many."
But this is the one. Like of all
too
the ones,
too many good games.
All the ones I'm covering here, this is the one that I think you personally, from what we've talked about and all that kind of stuff, and the kind of things you seem to gravitate towards, I think this could be one that you would really, really gel with. If not this one, then it'll be worth seeing what else they have put out.
Yeah,
because one of them I think will probably just be that sweet spot.
Yeah, nice. Oh, cool. That's a recommendation that I will
Absolutely.
take on board.
Yeah, and
then play less of a game at some point on the podcast, and then do a shit review and be like, "Oh yeah, I didn't really play it." So we're down to our top 2 then. I will go first. Just because you've just spoken. And I have picked as my champion-elect Radiant Silvergun.
Let's go.
Let's see how this goes. I mean, I'm going to do my best, internet, to try and take down the master here, but you know,
I am no master.
But the problem is that I this isn't starting off with a strong foot, but I genuinely think you probably got the stronger game. But at the same time, Radiant Silvergun made me feel something that I've not felt
feel alive
for
again.
A long time. It's a name I've not heard for a long time. About this particular genre, I think, really, in terms of because I picked this over Crimson Clover because I think that this isn't necessarily the game I thought I was going to gravitate towards the most out of all these games, but I did. This is the one that I think that I can see my life disappearing before me, spending hours and hours and hours trying to master Radiant Silvergun. I can see a time in a distant future where in 10 years' time, it's the only game I've played and I finally, beat the story mode. Do you know what I mean? Like, as in, like, and then go, right, well, I better do the arcade mode then now, kind of thing. So, it's and it's funny because also of having the spiritual successor of Ikaruga that I'd say a lot of people, from what I read and understand, probably see as the better game out of the two.
Full disclosure, personally, I prefer Ikaruga.
Yeah, which is interesting because I don't understand Ikaruga. I don't like the time I've gotten both and I've tried to play them both, and I can't seem to get Ikaruga. Like, I mean, like the initial starting point. I've tried probably like 20 times to play that game and just try and understand the polarity concept of that game.
Oh, it melts your brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then this has such complexity to it, and this might be why. And again, it's funny talking about one of the games low down the list a few times now, but Andro Dunos, and we spoke about how you didn't like the weapon complexity. I think this has that same sort of ability to have that complexity where you can, where you have 3 weapons of a forward laser, of a spread gun, and a homing missile, but then you get the second variant of that, so we end up with another complexity level of being able to use different types of those. So effectively you end up with another 6. So you end up with 6 weapons really, and then you get the combination weapon, which is the sword swipe, which kind of helps, I guess, protect you from certain types of bullets as well. Having all that then does make this, and this is why I'm surprised what you said about Ikaruga, but maybe not then. This feels way more like a puzzle game than it does a traditional shmup. And I kind of fucking love that about it. Like, as in, and whilst I've said everything, it's funny. Sometimes in life, you know what you like, and sometimes in life, you have something that you think you won't like, and you go, "That's completely different from what I'm used to having. I'm going to go enjoy that in private, behind a black curtain, and no one needs to know about it." Like, it's not a guilty shame or anything, but it's just almost like
it sounds like
it. And this is this game. Like, as in, it's almost like I just didn't see myself in a position where I was like, "God, this is so good." Really, really hard. It is hard. And usually when things like I guess talked about before, with Thunder Force on the last podcast, when something's really hard, I just kind of go, I'll probably never get that. This, I really, really want to endeavour to learn to be able to be good at this game. Like, as in, it kicks me in the teeth the right amount.
yeah, there's a sweet spot, isn't
there? Yeah. I mean, I can't ever see a world where I'm going to conquer the arcade mode. That is, so you kind of get, I think it's 3 continues, and it's over about 50 minutes to an hour. And there is a story where the story's a bit batshit crazy, if I'm going to be honest. That is, from what I've seen of the story so far, that are the few cutscenes I've seen from the bit of the story mode that I progressed through. I mean, but you kind of get the idea that you're returning to Earth. I think it's some really lovely anime cutscenes. Yeah, cutscenes. Where you return to Earth, and there's been some sort of creationism, time travel bullshit, timey-wimey kind of thing going on. I think you go back to save the Earth, but you kind of travel back in time as well. Anyway, but yeah, it's nice that that's there in the background. That is in kind of set up for it. But ultimately, you're kind of coming down and you're trying to defeat, these robots. I think that with the story mode, I like the idea that you kind of get. Is it a bit like Metroid-y almost in a way where you build the weapons up? So the very first level, you've got, oh shit, this is rock hard, and then you get to the end of it after you've died, obviously, enough times, and it goes, oh, by the way, you're going to keep those levels on those weapons for the next time round. Oh, okay, cool. I like that. Keep talking. And then 3 hours later, like, my weapons are like boosted to fuck, and I'm like blasting through that first level in seconds. Like, the first boss is just getting decimated in about 1 second, and I feel like an absolute weapon. And then I go, right, but you need to, like, the thing that I think I like about it the most is the test of memory, and almost like remembering that I probably have an okay memory. That is it definitely isn't what it used to be when I was 17, 18 year old, but actually the test of remembering the route, and because you still have to do it perfectly, you still have to have a perfect route to defeat all these enemies and get to the end of level 4 where you're now, where the challenge actually is. That is in, but you've got to get there by doing all the basic stuff now. That you're now just kind of like doing the Neo sort of hand swipe thing, where he's like finally seeing the Matrix sort of thing, and you're finally seeing the Matrix for the first 3.5 levels, and you're like, oh yeah, just don't stupidly lose a life by not concentrating for a second, and then you get to level 4, and that's when you've got to start going again, and that's where you're starting to learn it. Yeah, I kind of fucking love that. Like, it's just really cool, and it's a different type of progression where it's quite tactile, that it's there for you to see.
Yeah.
And it never gives you anything on a plate, but it also kind of does. It gives you like those breadcrumbs. So it's like, come down this sort of,
Have you seen this plate?
Yeah,
it's a nice plate.
Yeah. Just come down this rabbit hole with me, and it just pulled me in more and more, and I could see how the 7 hours I spent, with Raiden Silvergun, that actually, and like 5 of those were in one sitting, and that was meant to be like a half an hour sitting, and it wasn't a half an hour sitting. I can see how that becomes 70 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to sit here and claim that I know anything enough about the game to know all the complexities and things, but with all these games, they're all almost like little previews, if you will. That is and yeah, it just had everything about it that I think that it will. At some point, I will sit down and kind of go, yeah, I'm going to spend a week trying to get as far as I fucking can. Yeah. And this is my RPG. Like, it's in for this year. Yeah, it just a really brilliant puzzle game. I don't think this is my favorite shmup ever necessarily. I still think I lean towards the more Batsugun sort of side of things and that type of shmup, and more the bullet hell sort of thing. But God, this is like once you start getting the momentum and you start getting, and I'll find it really hard now because I'm going to go back after a week of not playing it, and I'll be back at like level 1. I'll have superpower weapons, so hopefully I'll pick it back up. But again, it's going to take me a little while, I think, really.
Yeah.
And just like I liked about, again, Andro Dunos, that is it too. I've said it differently every single time, and like there's different routes to pick your way through it almost. Like, there is a way to do it, but there's also several different ways you can do it because of the fact that you can blend all of your weapons, and there is a color scoring system as well. That is in. So this is where I guess it probably led into that Ikaruga idea that you get the polarity with the black and white, whereas actually in this you have different colors of enemies you can take down with certain weapons and things. Yeah, and there's so much to learn about it. There's just so much to dive into, and it's nice to know that that's there. Do you know what I mean? I'm excited about the future of Radiant Silvergun in my house. It sounds so ridiculous. So yeah, I'm not the best place, like I said, to sort of say, like, as in, somebody could speak about this probably for hours and hours and hours, but it definitely feels like, this is going to sound like, honestly, I've been so shit on this podcast with my like analogies and things, but this feels like going to University of Shmups. Like, as in, I'm not doing my my end of school exams. I mean, this is the University Shmup that I want to learn. So the thesis of Shmups that I need to do at some point in my life. This is the one for me, unless something else rolls along. But yeah, I can see that it's the one that I'm going to grow old with, I think, probably. Whilst it isn't necessarily like my style at all, like, weirdly. So, which is why it needs to be done behind a curtain.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
But a 9. I think
9.
I think I'll be going a bit too far if I said a 10 for this, but yeah, I think a 9. So you said to me don't give a score, but I have. So there we go. Because the scores won't really matter, because in the end you could give a higher score and I could tell you to fuck off. So,
no, that is very true.
Which has happened before.
Yep.
So I'm going to guess that yours is DoDonPachi DaiOuJou.
Yeah. And it's a 10 out of 10 game.
Yeah, okay. I thought
at least. Well, M2's port of it, I think. And I was mulling this over, and you know how I said about Darius Gaiden being kind of like required reading, and you just said Radiant Silvergun was like going to university and stuff like that. I think DoDonPachi DaiOuJou might be like my Bible. Like, it's a fucking holy text.
Yeah.
Man.
What could we escalate it to?
Yeah, like that. I think that's where it is. And the other things to bear in mind is that I got artwork for it up there, right?
Yeah.
You know, people on their phones will have pictures of loved ones as their backgrounds. I've got the fucking key art from M2's version of DoDonPachi DaiOuJou on mine.
And that's why I like you.
It's like, it's a great game anyway, right? So this would have come out in the early noughties from Cave, and well, let me go back a step, because, or is it forward a step? Probably forward, actually. Technically, my first DoDonPachi game was Resurrection, right? Same as a lot of people, our kind of age, right? And I enjoyed it. It was what I moved on to after Danmaku Unlimited 3, right? Because I tried that and was like, oh, what else can I pick up that's kind of like this?
Yeah.
Play DoDonPachi Resurrection and was like, holy hell, that's fun. Right, okay, here we go. And then you'd fall down that rabbit hole of, well, what else did the developer do? And all this kind of stuff. And you sort of find out about what you can. You pick up or emulate what you can get your hands on and all that kind of stuff, and you start to piece it together. And Resurrection is kind of in an odd spot between side DaiOuJou's like anime styling, like it went full tilt anime, and garish colors, and it's too much for me. It's too much. And it's also one of those ones that does the sort of storyline things in the sidebars, and you're trying to blow things up while people are yammering. But Resurrection is also between that and DaiOuJou, which is considerably grittier, and maybe not grounded, but like the art style is, I think, quite striking. I think it's quite interesting, a bit more industrial, a little bit more I can't think of a better word than sinister.
Okay.
Like it's over-egging it.
Yeah.
Like it's not like it's a horror game or anything like that, but there is like the whole conceit involves these dolls piloting these ships, and you know, are you getting lied to? What are they blowing up? Why are they blowing it up? And blah 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 blah. The whole conceit of the series is inherently unsettling, right? And which for a shmup to try and convey all that is bold.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get to with the Crimzon Clover situation, where I was like, it doesn't have that.
Yeah,
Do you know what
exactly.
I mean? The gameplay is there, but it doesn't have that.
Yeah, but for that level of
style.
like, yeah, you just have that little extra investment of like, the fuck is going on here? And you start reading up on some of the stories, and you're like, oh, wow, okay, right. That is unsettling.
Yeah.
And
better shoot it.
but that's the thing. It's in shmup form, and you're just like, that is, considering how little quote unquote screen time the story would have, it's kind of impressive, right? That they do so much with so little. And yeah, like the artwork is great. The soundtrack is great. It's a hell of a game anyway, right? Like easily on its own, the arcade game would be a 9 out of 10 kind of territory. Then M2 comes along and does God's work. And so like what they will quite often do, they emulate stuff great anyway, right? When they're porting it, it's always rock solid. Basically, if it's a shooting game and it's got M2 on the box, I'm buying it.
Yeah.
I kind of don't care anymore. I'm just going to buy it. I know I'm going to have a good time. And this is awesome. So like they have a lot of widgets around the side. It could be a little bit overwhelming if you're not paying attention to what's going on in the actual field of play, but it's kind of useful. And you'll get to the stage where, say, if you're in a level and you're trying to pick up the Hornet Wasp type icons to boost your scores and things like that, they can keep track of if you've missed one. So you can start to, that kind of meta game of this sort of treasure hunt as you're going through levels and working out where to find these things and the route to pick them up without getting shot. You can use that to gauge what's going on. You get like status bars and trackers for boss health. You get timers to check. You got a little icon for whether or not you're eligible to go onto the second loop of the game or not. And all sorts of stuff. Just kind of almost discreetly around the edges of the screen.
Yeah.
And when you go into the game itself, you have DaiOuJou. You also have the release they did in might have been like China or something like that, like DoDonPachi 3. You got the black label version. You got the different versions of the game, the different iterations that came out over time anyway. And you have arrange modes. So you go into one of them and you pick between 3 of the characters anyway, and then you can choose whether or not your standard shot is boosted or your laser, or both, or how the bombs behave and stuff like that. And then you have dedicated arrange modes that are, okay, you are going to play as this character, your weapons will behave like this, go. Yeah. And so you're not doing any of the selection stuff, but like you'll go in and like your shots will always be functioning like you have hypers constantly, or like there's all sorts of stuff. There's variety is what I'm trying to get at. Like for what is mechanically the same game, just straight off the bat, you've got like 6 or 7 different ways of playing it, which is pretty cool. You've got an arranged soundtrack or 2, can't remember. You've got a novice mode, which is really, really good for getting in and learning it. This is all great, right? It's all great. There's also some kind of like mode where you can like customize a room belonging to one of the characters or something like that. There's like gallery stuff. There's extra gubbins is what I'm trying to get at. So besides the game itself and the fact they've given you a load of arrange modes, they've also given you extra stuff. The bit that makes it a 10 out of 10 for me, let me get this, a Sarai mode.
Okay.
I think that's how you pronounce it. No promises. If you're playing in arcade mode, standard for whatever, and you die, rather than recording the replay of the entire run, it will record a replay of your death. That specific instance, you can go into a separate game mode and see all the times you died.
Oh, wow.
You can hop back into the game at that point, and then you have to survive for like 10 or 15 seconds from that specific point. And it's a really good way of just drilling like that specific bit. And you can get different medals depending on how well you do. If you breeze past it first time, you get gold, a couple of attempts, silver. But you have like up to 20 attempts. And
that's really cool.
You've got a challenge mode as well, which, breaks the stages up. So you get the start to the mid-boss to the end boss, and then the end boss is a separate one. And then the entire run. And again, you can get medals for that. So like it gives you so many good tools, as well as like replays and stuff like that, if you want to record those, for just learning what is going on with this. And it's that suite of tools they give you so that you can properly drill into it. It's so good.
It sounds like Mario Maker for shmups. That is almost, it's like, not like, sorry, don't mean like building the level, but I mean like, just breaking something down into its composite parts to make it more accessible for all its users is like...
that level of like man behind the curtain, this is how you make a Mario level. Go. Like this is how they made this shmup, almost. Like, I do see where you're coming from. And it's what elevates it for me. Like it's great having things like replays. I never use them. Like I barely ever use them, and I know I should. I should go back and watch the tape of where I've screwed up. But like, if the replay is recorded of your entire run, you could potentially, if you're doing okay, be waiting a little while before you get to the bit where you actually screw up. So having something that just bookmarks it is such a fucking revelation. And you look at it, you're like, why aren't more people doing things like this? Where it seems so simple, but it's so effective because I know damn well which bits are gonna trip me up. And it's great to just be able to dip in and go, you know what, I'm gonna focus on this. And obviously you can set your save states and all that kind of stuff so you can have a bit more of a run in if you need to in the actual game itself. But like, it's just the sheer variety of ways they give you to drill into this game and kind of play it the way you want to play it and learn it and really get to grips with it, which I find genuinely really, really impressive.
So is this your favourite shmup now, then
I think
to draw you on that, and
I think it is. I think it is, and like
for those reasons, almost to have all that stuff in the background.
Like there's just so much, like for what is. And I guess this is why I've saved this one till last as well, right? Because I'd like to think that this episode, the one before it, has demonstrated that a little bit of that variety the genre can offer.
Yeah.
And I think for me, this game is a really, really good example of that point you can kind of get to where you go from, a shooting game, you're just a spaceship blowing things up in a straight line, right? To all this other stuff that it can encompass as well.
Yeah.
Like built on what is fundamentally very simple foundations.
Yeah.
I think is incredible.
Yeah. In all those moments that your brain's using all its fast twitch fibers of this bullet hell situation, like you are considering all these things, but just at a fast pace. So to be able to break it all down into different parts, to even the arrange modes, be like, this character with this type of mode and this type of firing, for example, that is in. I know that I'm good at that, so that I can practice that part of it, and this bit I'm shit at, so I can. I'm not very good with this weapon. It's almost like sounds like just everything can build up into a point where I guess that they're giving you every tool you need to complete the game, but
well, in theory. But I think for me, as much as anything, it's you can go into arcade mode. Let's, for argument's sake, you get to halfway through stage 3 and start beating your head against a wall. Like, how the hell do I route this?
Yeah.
You can go into a bunch of modes and check you're working, if you like, and try different things in a risk-free environment. But crucially, it respects your time. Like, you don't have to play the first stage or two to get to that point again. And that is huge. That's big. But also, if that gets frustrating, you can just take a step back and then go, okay, well, I'll play as this character that I know I like, using a comically overpowered version of the weapon. I'll just waste things just for a couple of minutes to feel better about the world.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Fuck it. And then you can get back to the grind. And someone's thought of that, and I think the only thing that could have made it an 11 out of 10 game, because nothing's perfect, right? Nothing's perfect.
Nobody's nerfed.
Nobody's nerfed. On the PS2 version that they put out, there was a DVD bonus that came with it that had like a kind of pro playthrough. And I think just having some preloaded pro replays to dip into would make it pretty damn close.
Yeah.
But like as it is, easily for me a 10 out of 10. And I appreciate it is not going to be for everybody. Of course it's not. How could it be? But holy hell. Yeah. Like if you're listening to any of this and you think, oh shit, that sounds pretty good. Like get on the Japanese PlayStation stores, Japanese Switch store. It's there. Like I cannot praise it highly enough.
You say it's not for everybody, but I'd say that nearly everybody that responded to the Reddit post that I put out probably put DoDonPachi as very much like at least top 3, but mostly top 1. Like, and most people were like, a lot of people like jokingly were like, it's DoDonPachi DaiOuJou. Is that how you say it, sorry?
DaiOuJou.
Thank you. And then nothing else. Like, it's almost like, disregard the, obviously jokingly, but almost like, it's just so up there.
It is very highly regarded. And I think rightly so. Like, it's a very, very, very good game in its own right. And then you do what M2 did. And you port it well. Yeah. With a load of extra stuff. And, damn.
Awesome. So, I mean, it's pretty late. I'm quite happy to, as always, just to lie down and accept my fate. I mean, there's the thing is as well. There's nothing that I can say to battle against that. I don't think, because certainly from a point of view that whilst I was spending time with Radiant Silvergun, like it felt like it was nearly all about getting through that story mode or the arcade mode, and I don't think it has all of those parts. on the Xbox Live version, certainly, that is in all those moving parts that DoDonPachi does. So I don't think there's any way you can say that that is the equivalent to it. Yeah, and I'm just going to sit here and revel and see how happy you were in getting to talk about that game. That is in
Yeah,
there.
I am
So,
quite pleased about
yeah,
that.
yeah, that's great. So, running our 10 random shmups then. Raiden V, Director's Cut, Danmaku Unlimited 3, Andro Dunos II, Earthion, Thunder Force 4, Darius Gaiden, Crimzon Clover, World Explosion, Raging Blasters, Radiant Silvergun, and DoDonPachi DaiOuJou. And yeah, they've kind of gone almost as expected, I guess, score-wise as well, which you think, oh, yeah, they've just done that. No, we kind of, I think we had the scores in our head probably already anyway, and then tried to form it into that. So, yeah, it's Shmups number 1, DoDonPachi. Can you imagine unwrapping it on Christmas Day? Can you imagine that you'd never played it before and somebody gifted that to you and you were like, what's this, for the first time ever?
I mean, I think...
How thrilling that would be for you.
I think I was probably more thrilled about unwrapping the snazzy collectory edition I got from Play Asia, having played DoDonPachi Resurrection and stuff first. I think if I'd just come into it cold, I'm not sure.
Like, what is this?
I'm not sure I would get on with it quite.
What is this sinister game that I'm playing?
And like, don't get me wrong, if you're not set up to like get on the Japanese shops and all that kind of stuff, like you can get DoDonPachi Resurrection easy enough in the West.
Yeah.
Or at least in the UK. I can't remember if you can get DaiOuJou on American stores or not, but Resurrection at least. In the UK, if you're that way inclined, still comes highly recommended from me. It's not an M2 port, but it's still pretty good. But it's not DaiOuJou.
I mean, I'm just thinking about the list in general, and just thinking about similar sort of thing that I would say if you're going to pick any of the ones that I reviewed at any point for the money they were worth, then yeah, absolutely. Whilst I wax lyrical there about Radiant Silvergun, I still don't think that, and that's why I was so difficult with Crimzon Clover. I do think that if you want to play, I don't want to say more traditional shmup, but certainly the one that I think that would feel more like any others, along with the DoDonPachis of the world, then yeah, Crimzon Clover feels like, you know,
Crimzon Clover's a really good shout,
the shiny version.
Yeah, yeah. If you're going bullet hell, like Crimzon Clover is a strong choice.
So yeah, and that's very easy to pick up on the Switch store. So yeah, keep an eye out for that in the sale over Christmas into January. So yeah, that's us done for reviews for the year. So you know, no more work technically now. Just shouting at each other for 2 hours. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, thank you very much for listening to that, guys. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did, and we will speak to you again real soon.
Cheers.